And welcome everyone to an NABC chat. I'm Andy Katz, pleased to be joined by Lon Kruger, longtime former Division One head coach, multiple times to the Final Four, coach of the NBA. But for these purposes, the current national chair of the Coaches versus Cancer. It is Suits and Sneakers Week. Set the screen is sort of the motto this season. So we want to unpack a few of these things. And first off, I just want to go back a little on about the success of this program of Coaches versus Cancer. We're now on decades, multiple decades of this being a charitable project for coaches at all levels in college basketball, really basketball in general. Just what are your thoughts on the growth of this project and where it started to where it is today?
Yeah, Coaches versus Cancer, Andy. Thanks for your time. Foremost, the partnership between NABC and the coaches nationally under the umbrella of the American Cancer Society. 30-year anniversary started with Norm Stewart's diagnosis back in the late 80s, early 90s. So coaches do a great job using their platform to not only raise dollars, but spend their time advocating for others to get involved in the fight against cancer, and also the awareness, the value of screening. Cancer is a nasty disease, and patients have a much better chance of winning the battle with early detection. So that screening is something that really promoting through Suits and Sneakers Week, or alongside Suits and Sneakers Week. And again, coaches, as busy as they are at this time of year, they still take time because they've got a passion in winning the fight against cancer.
Where are we in terms of the dollars that what you've seen? And obviously today's dollars are different than 30 years ago, but how have you seen the actual financial impact?
It's been great. Over $155 million raised by Coaches versus Cancer in those 30 plus years. So it keeps growing every year. More coaches are involved. With the retirement of a lot of the coaches that have been involved, we need younger coaches to jump on board. And we're seeing that happen because everyone's got a passion for it. Everyone's been touched by cancer. It's a horrible disease. And whether it be family or neighbors or extended family, people have got a story to tell, and they're ready to jump in and give their time and resources to in that battle.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm one of millions of people who has been affected in terms of family members that if they didn't get the proper screening, they probably wouldn't be alive today. Multiple of my family members that got the screening early, got treatment, and obviously are doing well now. But I mean, it could have been a much different outcome. I myself, because of family history, have had colonoscopy since I was 40. So I've had multiple, since I'm older now. Whether it's prostate exams, all those things. And I'm just one person. But this is this is set the screen. How critical is it that you found to play off of that for people paying attention to getting that screening in advance, being proactive going forward?
And as you mentioned, that's the most critical part of it. Catching, the diagnosis early is huge. 1 in 2 men, 1 in 3 women are going to encounter cancer in their lifetime. So it's there. So advocating again for others to really get involved in promoting the screening, because early detection is the key. And just as you mentioned, when you have a family history of it, it even becomes more significant. So very, very important. And again, really appreciate and value what the coaches do in getting that word out.
So Suits and Sneakers. Now, pre-COVID, it was pretty obvious to see, what was happening with the suit and the sneakers. Now we got a kind of a mixed bag. Not everyone wears a suit anymore. So how can we distinguish this, especially for the coaches that have chosen not to go back to the suits and pretty much have been comfortable with their sweats or their pull-ups and their sneakers? How do we make sure people understand? No, they're still recognizing Suits and Sneaker Week if they're not actually wearing a suit.
There'll be a lot more coaches wearing suits this week, so I guess that's a one step. But
Okay, good.
it's the TV talent talking about it. Coaches do a great job in the pregame interviews and leading up to the broadcast. Big Ten television, they do a great job with all their games, as do many other sponsors. So just getting that word out there and making note of it during the course of the game, and showing those interviews as they do. And again, coaches give their time to make that happen, and appreciate the broadcast folks putting that out there every game.
This is also one other way for you to sort of be engaged in retirement. You obviously have a son who's a head coach at UNLV. How has this allowed you to really stay connected with your peers, your colleagues, and the game of basketball?
It has allowed me to stay connected, and I appreciate that very much because those are our professional friends. For 45 years we did it, and again, that network has allowed us to stay in touch. Coaches versus Cancer is a way. I have been, national chair for the last several years, but now we're transitioning to Brad Underwood at Illinois. Is going to take over. We need an active coach doing it. We need more young coaches getting involved, which is happening. We need diversity to be considered always, so we can be more intentional about serving underserved areas. With not only the dollars, but also the awareness. So it's all moving in a great direction. Craig Robinson, Nate Pomaday with the NABC are great, great partners and have been for 30 plus years. So we appreciate that cooperation a great deal. And again, more and more people get on board, and the national events that go take place every year are raising awareness and raising more dollars, and we need that trend to continue.
Hey, while I have you, I'm just curious because you were one of the early coaches that went college, NBA college. And, we're seeing it's very difficult for the NBA guys to come back to college and be successful at the highest level. You were able to bookend your stint with the Hawks and have a high level of success. What is the hardest part? And I know the game has changed, transfers, NIL, and all that stuff, but still, what's the hardest part of going from the NBA to college basketball?
Well, if you hadn't been in college before, it's just as if you hadn't been in NBA before, transition either direction is a huge change. The games are just so different. Basketball is similar, but the front office relationship, the travel, the number of games, the few number of practices in the NBA compared to college, catching young men at different stages in their lives. It used to be that in the NBA you got families, you got agents. That was different in college. Now we got agents in college, so that's a little bit more similar, but it's just a different game, and I think the rules, and again, that's more like NBA today than it was 3 years ago, and will continue to move in that direction. But it's a transition, no question about it. And I did a terrible job in the NBA because of this being naive about what's going on. But again, it's a great game. It's a great game, and great relationships come out of it for coaches. But the coaches today, it's a different world in college. Coaches are struggling. To have every player be a free agent every year, takes away the relationship side of it. And the relationship side of it to the older coaches is always the most important part and the most satisfying part. And the young coaches today won't have the opportunity to have that sense of relationship as we did years ago. And that's something that is a concern because, again, that's a critical part of developing a program and developing the culture that you're looking for.
And one last thing I'll just say, you did not get put in a great situation, for the record. Traded some of your roster. It was not an easy transition, so I don't think you were put in a great position to start with. I'm just going to say that because clearly you proved that you're still an elite Hall of Fame coach. So anyway, Lon, I appreciate everything that you're doing. You look great. Retirement is treating you well. Congratulations on another grandchild, and great health to you. Appreciate all that you're doing for Coaches versus Cancer, Suits and Sneakers Week, Set the Screen here with the NABC. Thank you, Lon, for your time.
Thanks, Andy. Appreciate you getting the word out.